Hi everyone, my name is Damani Thomas, and this summer I got to intern with Bikeys Bay, and this is my experience. So, Bikeys Bay is a cyclist advocacy group, which basically means they try to stand up and speak out for cyclist rights because cyclists are people too. Uh, they were formerly known as the East Bay Bicycle Coalition, but then they recently changed their name. And in case they're completely foreign, they shouldn't be because they're a part of the reason why bikes are allowed on BART. They are also a part of the reason why a lot of cyclist infrastructure projects have gotten their funding. They've raised like over $1 million. Basically, I was learning how to be an advocate, which means I learned how to stand up for people when they need help. I also learned the law of the road, which means I learned that cyclists have certain rights the same as cars do, which unfortunately means that if you are on a bicycle and let's say you cut someone off in a car, you are at fault as well and can be fined as much as them. I also planned and helped out at the Temecula Street Fair, which was an amazing event where, all of these bicyclists and, normal pedestrians came out and had some fun. We demonstrated a project that we want to have for Telegraph Avenue, which will take 5 of its lanes, or 2 of its lanes, and we'll give it a road diet, which means that we'll take out 2 lanes to put in more bicycle pathways. I also helped out at Pedal Fest, which was amazingly awesome. I'll get to a picture later, but it was a lot of fun. A lot of people came out. There was like a dragon bike. There was this other giant bike. There was like bicycle-powered smoothies. And I basically did anything my mentor, Dave Campbell, told me to do. I'm gonna do Dave voice. He'd be like, "Hey Damani, read this article," and I'd be like, "Okay." And then like 5 minutes later, he'd be like, "Hey Damani, I want you to input these surveys," and I'd be like, "Okay." And this is a giant bike from Pedal Fest. This is a very patriotic picture, as you can see. It's like 3 American flags, 1 picture. Amazing. Um, So during high school, I'll be a college freshman in like 1.5 weeks. So during high school, I did policy debate, which is we use this thing called fiat to just imagine that something gets passed. And during the internship, I learned how it is to be a real policymaker. Bikeys Bay is trying to get it's like Measure BB passed, which will get a bunch of funding for cyclist-related projects. So I learned what it actually takes to get something passed, to, kind of put some stuff into context. I also learned a lot of research skills. When Dave would come to me and be like, "Hey, can you read this?" I'd be like, "Okay." So then I'd have to get some background information in order to be able to complete that project. I also learned insight on how other cities' transport systems work, like Paris, DC. And I learned how to Google Map because, Dave voice again, he'd be like, "Hey, Damani, go to this street." And I'd be like, "Okay." I didn't know where the street was, obviously, but Google Map, right? So my main focus, when we would go to these meetings and when he'd ask me to do this research, none of the research or the meetings ever talked about gentrification. And for the purpose of this presentation, I'm going to define gentrification as the systemic, maybe intentional or unintentional way that communities are they push out the people that aren't wanted, right? If you've ever been in downtown Oakland, you see that the area is turning into more of a business place. Unfortunately, that when you put in like new businesses and that kind of thing, the amount of money it costs to live in that area increases, which means that people get pushed out. I thought that was pretty messed up. And so my main focus of research was that, I should try and stop gentrification and try to tell Dave, "Hey Dave, this is happening." Just so I'm getting the wrap-up sign. I think that this is a prerequisite for larger events, right? If you want to be an advocate for something, you have to learn how to do it first in a smaller context. So if we make downtown Oakland better for cyclists, then we can do it other places. Thank you to Dave Campbell, MTC, Bikeys Bay, although none of them are here. Thank you.